very good morning to you. How are you doing? Kenya's biggest conversation enters the second hour. We are here until 10 a.m. City, sing the proverb.
A friend is someone who knows a song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words.
You know the song in your heart, and they can sing it back to you.
When you've forgotten the words.
Our guest this morning has a song. Let's see, who's a friend? Can you guess the song?
I can guess the song. And there's even, a well-known band in the time when I was a youth that actually sang a song in the direction of the conversation.
Okay.
Money, 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 money.
Money.
You sang twice today. This is a day in the history.
You know, this actually isn't singing.
It's singing.
At best, what you see me attempting to do is attempting to sing. But what comes out is a croak. So you call it singing if you like, but I know I'm not singing, and I know I can't sing.
Every penguin has a song.
I've been called a penguin.
Yes, you have.
Our guest is Elizabeth Mudogo. She's the Vice Chairperson of Safaricom Sacco. Welcome to the Situation Room, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you. How was traffic?
It was not so bad. I only had a small hitch at Ngong Road towards the mortuary, the morgue. But it was moving very well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. When you're leaving, it'll even be better.
Yeah, this is Mombasa Road and we are in this season. Do I get to sing Baba Ni Pepe Sa? I tell you, City's mouth is open.
Oh, it's a beautiful song, by the way.
You know it? Huh?
Of course I know it. What? I
next
know
line.
it. Look, knowing the song doesn't mean I can sing it. Okay, I know of the song. Yes.
You know the song?
Yes. It's very coastal.
It's true. And the Safaricom choir did it very well.
Yes.
Yes.
And as a man who grew up at the coast, you can understand why it resonates so quickly and so easily. Yes.
Good.
Can I imagine that then? Can I guess that you're in the Safaricom choir?
I was in the Safaricom choir, but my heart is still there, and I enjoyed being there. It's a very passionate moment for me, just to be able to sing your heart out and being able to bless other people as you do that. Yes.
Today's proverb, City, Yenny,
It's not
you picked it.
You're like a druid.
Anyway. Down memory lane.
Bas. The conversation that we want to have this hour is on savings culture. Do Kenyans have a savings culture? Do we actually think about saving? There's that headline that City read to us this morning that high net worth individuals and companies saved 1 billion shillings a day in the last 1 month.
Well, as of July, the saving, the amount in Kenya shillings that had been saved is 1.595 trillion.
In fixed deposits.
Sitting in the bank for the government to borrow as they see fit.
Like that.
Sitting there.
Hey. So there are some who are saving there in commercial banks and others are saving in SACCOs. Safaricom Sacco, in which you're vice chair, is a big SACCO. How many members do you have?
We now have active members, over 12,000 members. In totality, close to 16,000 members, and we are growing.
So how much money do you have?
I'll not shy away. Our portfolio is in the range of 7 billion, slightly over 7 billion.
But you see,
Yoni pesa imewekwa
SACCOs-
sitting there
SACCOs
for
and
members
banks.
to borrow.
they have their money in bank accounts. So they also contribute to this huge sum that we are speaking of. Am I right?
You're
there?
right. You're right. You're
Yes.
right. A specific fraction of the money that we have also sits in the banks, and the other regular amount we actually leave it out for the members to be able to borrow. The SACCO operate in a very interesting manner because it's purely owned by the members. So the members have the leeway to come in and borrow and be able to do 1, 2, 3 things. For example, if they want to do some investment, long-term investment, they want short-term investments. Our landmark is basically the emergency loans. And if you have school-going children or if you're going to school, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you need an emergency loan and you need it within 24 hours, and to some instance, you actually get to deliver that within 6 hours. Yes.
So looking at that, the number of members that you have,
Yes.
the amount of money that you actually have,
Yes.
you know, which is members' savings.
Yes.
So that's what the S in the Sacco is, saving.
Yes.
Would you then say that Kenyans have a savings culture?
So to some level, Kenyans have a savings culture, but they don't know they do. I'll give you a typical example, Latif. As we go along the way, and we had a chat, as we go along the way, I meet some people who are walking and they're talking. Yes, they are. And at the back of the mind, we have the chamas, you have the table banking. I don't know if you know about the table banking, where you have the merry-go-round and stuff,
Right.
where you put aside an intentional amount of money. So do we have a culture? Yes, we do. Is it aggressive? No, not yet. And we need to get to a level, what the Sacco is trying to do, we need to get to a level where it's intentional. You actually create the discipline and the culture to be able to put something aside. As the saying goes, happiness that is retained to be used later is actually more fulfilling, and it brings more value. So that's the culture that you want to be able to bring in, where you can be able to save a little, kidogo hujaza.
Kibaba.
Very good. So that's where we are right now.
So, but you say it's not aggressive.
Yes.
How would you then be able to measure that now? If somebody's taking a little bit of something every month, 3,000, 5,000 shillings, and
Yes.
saving it on a monthly, and we have a lot of people who go much higher than that.
Yes.
So then, how would you be able to say that from where it is now till the point where it is aggressive? How would we know and say yes, people have an aggressive saving culture in this country and are ready to keep something aside for a rainy day?
So Ndi will start with the facts. The facts are, today in the Kenyan economy, around 13% of the culture get to save, which is slightly lower than the African standard. The African standard is around 17%. You have countries like Tanzania coming up very fast, they're at around 20%. When you look at the statistics, the Kenyan population in the rural area get around 3,500 shillings per month. In the urban area, believe it or not, the average is around 5,500 thereabout. So to
That's
that
our
extent,
average income.
in average income per month. So to that extent, there's that aggressiveness. What I mean by aggressiveness, which is intentional, where you put aside a specific percentage. When I was coming through, I was reading through some content that say the saving has never been a respecter of what you earn. Irrespective of what you earn, you need to instill that discipline of putting aside something small. As you were growing up, we used to have a tin. It was actually a milk tin, where whatever you do, there's some money that goes in there.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, on a certain Saturday when you have to eat chapati, then you go and pick that amount of money and you're able to do it. And when you look at it also in the Kenyan situation, even for the children, we have the piggy banks. I don't know if you remember the piggy banks, where you actually have to incentivize the children to be able to put something small. So what I mean by aggressiveness, it has to be intentional, where you actually have to put in the discipline, you put aside a specific amount of money. In the Sacco that we are in today, you actually authorize your company, because we've now opened out to even to the bonds, where you go out to your HR and you request them to put a specific amount of money every month, and you make that savings intentional. It's actually an intentional activity. Yes.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So COVID came along.
Yes.
Did you and kind of turn things upside down completely?
Yes.
Did you see? Because from what we have heard of the Safaricom Sacco and how you've been able to do things over the last few years, did it then show, which showed for many other people in society, did it then show that people actually did not have anything put aside for a rainy day? Did you find more people coming to borrow because of a depressed state of the economy? Did you find more people coming to borrow? And then did it show that people actually didn't save?
So actually, the Safaricom Sacco, we are open and we listen. We actually, all the propositions that we do, every activity that we do is insight-led. We listen to our members, and the members guide us on what we need to be able to do. The COVID situation has been a very tricky one. However, the Saccos have ballooned in this COVID situation. Reason being, there's that discipline for those who had already started to make a savings every month, which is dedicated. The good thing is, we actually don't penalize you per se if you don't get to save, but it's always good for you to be able to create that culture. Sure. So what happened during the COVID season, we actually saw more people actually coming in to be able to probably pick what they had actually put in there. And to that extent, we actually came up with a product within the Safaricom Sacco called the Pamoja Pamoja loan product. What it basically was doing, we're actually getting together with our members, walking the journey with them. Specifically for the small businesses who are heavily, affected, we gave them a proposition that even had a lower interest rate. We were giving them at 8%, which is very reasonable. And they were to repay in a period of 6 months. Just to let you know, we have actually extended it from the 20th anniversary. We had the 20th anniversary on 30th. We've even extended it to 12 months, where our members can still come in, enjoy the benefits, have the loan propositions given to them at a very flexible rate.
So basically what we're talking about here is those who can see the benefits
Yes.
of saving,
Yes,
find ways of saving,
Yes.
and find platforms on which to save.
yes.
But then have SACCOs, for example, yours and the others, have they taken up the initiative to spread the gospel of saving, to inculcate that culture of what you're calling aggressiveness in saving?
Yes, we have. The Safaricom Sacco, what we've done, I've just given you a typical example of the piggy bank. So we already have also in creating the culture from, very young ages. So we already have a children account where we actually entertain our members to also come in and bring their younger ones at a very interesting rate. The other thing that we do, we hold monthly sessions, training sessions to our members and even, any person in the diaspora who's able to come in. And then came COVID, which also sparked another thing where we went digital and everything was 100% digital. Safaricom Sacco operates 100% digital. You operate from home. So what we have monthly sessions where we train our members on what they need to do, personal loan management, personal finance management, how to do the investment decisions, what opportunities there are. And we have another one that's coming up on the 29th of this month where we actually post the link on our every touch point that we have within the Safaricom Sacco. And the other bit that we also have Safaricom Sacco champions who are basically members who step up to be able to share knowledge with our members on how they can better improve on their financial position.
Is the membership only open to employees of Safaricom?
I knew that would come.
Okay, so which means you prepared the response.
So it was started off by the Safaricom staff, a small group of the Safaricom staff who came up to be able to manage their investment angle and, this financial stability and having the culture of savings. We have since opened it up. We've opened it up to other organizations. We've opened it up to the public so the public can come in and they can be able to enjoy the services that randomly would not be available for the unbanked. As you well know, majority of the Kenyans are unbanked. The other beautiful bit, Safaricom Sacco also comes in with a mobile element where you can be able to take loans and still be able to save and still be able to access what every other member would access using a mobile device. So it's open and you're welcome to join.
When you talk about this saving story
Yes.
and the culture,
Yes.
I wonder where the disconnect seems to be.
Yes.
Because on the one hand, we keep talking every day of very many Kenyans who are unbanked.
Yes.
We also talk about Kenya being one of the leading countries in the cooperative movement. We talk about Kenyans having grown up with, being taught about savings and even government entities that were promoting savings. I remember when I was growing up in the 80s, there was I was a radio person. I used to listen to KBC, the only radio then. And there's a program that used to be sponsored by Kenya Post Office Savings Bank.
Yes.
And it would always say, Kula tano, weka tano. So you see, already that conversation was happening even then. Even UCT, in your younger days, there was a whole conversation about savings. So how can we be saying that in 2021, we have an unbanked population. We have a population that we cannot really talk about, the number of people who are aggressively saving, like you're saying, the percentage that people decide this is how much I'm going to save automatically. Where's the missing link?
So I want to go back and I think you've taken me down the memory lane. Did you ever have the post bank card
I
book?
had a book, yes.
Is it still there? Do you know you can actually go back and retrieve? I'm sure you can.
I actually
because the money has
looked at it
actually
the other
earned
day.
some
It
interest.
had
and
left some cows, few thousands there. Does that bank still exist?
it does.
Yes,
It does.
Is
It
it
does
alive?
exist. It is.
Does it
Post
have
bank
money?
is still, I'm not sure.
The money you left there is still there.
I'm not sure. So, and you're actually right and you're spot on. The situation that we are in today, specifically the young people whom we are also targeting, there's a gap between what I'm earning today and what I can be able to put aside. So the tendency and the culture that we have today, which is something that we have to overcome, I tend to spend more. We are a spending culture. if I was to put it in that way. So if you are to put something aside, the impetus for us to be able to spend, it actually overrides what I need to put on the side. It only requires discipline and the sacrifice to be able to put something aside today, pleasure that is, you actually are not enjoying
Delayed
it right now,
gratification.
and you delay it for a later stage, and it will be able to give you the value.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
the discussion about opportunity cost
Yes.
is a good economic discussion.
Yes.
But the reality of many Kenyans, many African Kenyans, is that, yes, they may even want to save,
Yes.
but the demands on whatever you have presents itself as a real challenge to this desire that you have to change, to save. So it's not as though someone may not want to save,
Yes.
but it's just that the things that require that very, very same money are as real as the saving that you may want. And so there is the issue of balancing it. So when you talk to your members, I'm sure there are many members of your Sacco who find themselves in that same position. And it's irrespective of how much you earn. Yes.
Let me bring it closer home, City. Most organizations would actually, on a yearly basis, have an increment. You'll actually have a salary increment. What happens in the Kenyan situation when you have a salary increment? You remember,
You're just
you
upwards.
remember, and all of a sudden you get overwhelmed by all these other things that come through, and that happens to everyone. When there's some money that comes along your way, it is that discipline that you have to create. There's an increment that I have, and make a deliberate decision to have a specific percentage put aside. The issues will always be there, and in economic terms, the resources are always
Nice.
not plenty. So you always have to work through and look at the opportunity cost of being able to put aside something small whenever you bump into something that is substantial, and you can have that lifestyle entrenched in you, and also be able to pass the knowledge to the younger ones. And then you go back to weka tano, kula tano, and you have that culture inculcated as we grow up.
culture. I think that is the word, and it's a difficult thing. Just like you've said, so
Yes.
very many people, for example, took a pay cut because of COVID, because organization tells pay cut. People adjusted
Yes.
to live for a year or so within the reduced income,
Yes.
and then okay, now organization, we understand, so let's bring the salary back. Are people treating that as an extra? Or are people going back to, hey, you see now, Bana, hey,
Now I can do this, that,
there's
or the
those
other
12 months. This is how I used to live. Now, in fact, I need to go back to my life. Even me, I'm going back to my life. It's a culture thing. How do we actually move away from that? Because just like you said, if I get you used to receiving 10 shillings every month,
Yes.
you will live
At that level.
on that level of 10
Yes.
shillings.
Yes.
The day I give you 9 bob, you'll complain and then you'll adjust to 9 bob. I bring you back to 10 bob, you will consume the entire 10 bob. I add to 11, you will consume 11. It'll not be at now I have an extra.
Let me live
on 10
one
and
side.
to save the one.
Eric, the real, should we say, conundrum here is something called inflation. Okay? Because employers have something they call a cost of living adjustment, which they make. Okay? And some do, many don't. So even if you're earning the same amount of money, let's leave the discussion of COVID aside. Still, you will find that that amount of money simply doesn't add up. Now, there are those who are disciplined and they even save. Now, this is where COVID comes in. I know of many people who save in SACCOs, knowing full well that I have these commitments. So at the beginning of every year, they will take a loan that will pay the fees, these recurrent expenses that they have. It pays it off.
Yes.
So now they then spend the year saving and paying back so that at the end of the year, COVID comes in, you don't have a job. You don't have a business, or the business has gone down. So whatever you were able to do, you are now not able to do. Now, under those circumstances, a progressive Sacco like yours, what have they come up to try and mitigate against this reality? Because it is a reality.
It is here. The good thing is it's coming a little bit earlier than when we were expecting. So I would actually call it retiring mentality has come in a little bit earlier in terms of how do you use what you've actually saved. And I think when you mentioned at that particular point, I'll probably give you a tendency on what we are seeing within our Sacco. So there's this one group that was purely affected, and they come back and they restructure the loan or the savings pattern. So they want to be able to probably reduce a little bit more. They want to be given some more time to be able to make the payment. There's this other group who have realized when COVID came, I'm working from home. Coffee doesn't cost 300 shillings a cup.
No.
It actually costs far much less. With 300, I can actually take coffee the whole day. Okay, I can actually take out coffee the whole day for that 300 shillings. So they've actually come in intentionally to be able to increase on their
What they're saving.
And to that extent, we have seen a lot more members coming in to take more loans because they're investing in maybe hard stuff, doing lots of constructions. We have lots of constructions that are happening around there, and we have been supporting that trend. So what we have come in as the Sacco, just to be able to answer City, we've actually come in to be able to share that knowledge. That's why we have aggressive sessions and training sessions, knowledge transfers. We've also had real life experiences where we also give testimonials on this is what I've been able to do, just to be able to impact positively on our members and those who are non-members, proactive members, to be able to come in and be able to take, put aside some money, because what the Sacco actually thrive on, we actually give you a loan against your savings.
Right.
So it's actually the member savings that we're giving you a loan against. So there's that opportunity, there's that opening, and that is the gospel that we preach.
So Elizabeth, something a little bit more sensitive
Yes.
is that a lot of the depression that we see, a lot of these very, very delicate situations, from studies and also from what you can see by talking to people that you interact with, is that it is because of a financial situation.
Yes.
The squabbles that we see inter-home, the general depression has everything, a lot to do with not being able to... Instability, not being able to meet needs, not being able to stay afloat. Now, there may be some people who don't have what they think is not enough, right? Elizabeth is here talking about people who are doing construction, and I have 1,000 bob. How am I even going to be involved in this?
Yes.
And then we have that people are not able to perform in their duties because of this weight mentally. Are you involved in such processes as well to encourage those who may have never had a culture?
Yes.
Would love to get into a place where they're being able to keep something for a rainy day, and then at the same time being able to work and then invest in something that would help them tomorrow?
That's a very interesting question, and I don't know if it's a little bit premature to speak in the plans that we have within the Safaricom Sacco, but I'll speak about it anyway. So the scenario is actually real. It's actually here with us. There are those who have actually been heavily affected, and there are those who, it's business as usual. They have opportunities to be able to save. So what we have done, we have tailor-made solutions. We listen to our members case by case, and we are able to intervene. Not 100% to make sure, I was in this position, maybe I was on a 10,000 shilling pay, and now I'm at zero. I'm having, lots of family issues. We come in and give you the 10,000, you don't do that. However, what we do, we actually open that room where we can be able to come in and restructure. You can actually come in and restructure your loan, or you can actually come in and take what I had mentioned earlier, the Pamoja loan, which basically supports you. We also give you advice on how to start a business. For example, a small-time business, how you can be able to also, have the culture of being able to put some hard work onto it and be able to reap some benefits out of it. So we actually walk the journey with you. We understand this is a situation that we are in. We don't know for how long, but we walk the journey with you to be able to support. And we also have some counseling services that we offer. Yes, so we have lots of partnerships with people who are like-minded, and they're able to offer their services to our members.
Do you
Thanks.
save? Do you think about saving? How much are you saving? In terms of a percentage of your income, and where and how, and what's the reasoning behind it, whether you save or not? These are the conversation that we're having this morning with Elizabeth Mudogo. She's the vice chairperson of Safaricom Sacco, talking about not just Safaricom Sacco, but savings as a culture, using Saccos, stable banking, going to the financial institutions, the commercial banks, whatever, whether you're using a mattress bank or a piggy bank, or, the M-Pesa. In fact, we had even said we're going to ask you about the M-Pesa savings thing.
And
You
the
can just
M-Shwari.
mention to us about the M-Shwari savings. Wherever you're saving, what is that you do? And do we have that culture? Can we actually get to a point where we say, well, confidently, Kenyans think about saving more than they think about spending, or as they think about spending. In the Situation Room this morning is Eric Latif, Nduoko CT Muga, and Elizabeth Mudogo, Vice Chairperson of the Safaricom Sacco. Do Kenyans have a savings culture? And we asked that of Elizabeth, and she said yes. But maybe sometimes people just don't realize that they're actually in saving. It's just that you are putting something aside. I think we've seen very many instances where people have been organized in groups, and we have seen the proliferation of SACCOs. You go to any part of this country nowadays, into a shopping center, and you'll see whatever SACCO. It's not just the Mwalimu SACCOs and the big SACCOs that were there before. You're even seeing new SACCOs. XYC SACCO, CTU SACCO.
I knew that was coming.
You saw that coming.
Sacco.
Yes.
Sacco.
The Situation Room Sacco.
Oh, voila, there you go.
But there's a savings culture that perhaps isn't spoken about because it doesn't actually involve direct cash. It involves something called social capital. Why I'm calling it a savings Sacco is because if you look at the way African societies work and the way it is literally imperative for you to look out for each other. Now, the process of looking out is a savings culture. One may not think so, but you do pile up that capital, and you may not necessarily use it, but it is hoped that your children might use it. Now, it's the thing that we've had in abundance, and it's what perhaps has often come, should we say, across as being a hindrance to this monetary saving of culture, because there's the understanding that if I have a hard time, I can always go to so-and-so. There are cultures like the one I come from, where it is entrenched, where it's not that somebody thinks, somebody knows. Because when they have a problem and they speak to you as though that problem is yours.
Hey, the problem solved, huh?
Yeah, they are simply explaining to you this mutual problem that you have, but which you haven't been alerted to. So they're alerting you so that you can do the needful. And if you look at the thinking behind it, it is sound. And it is that reason that probably very many people, maybe more so even in my generation and earlier, were able to go to school because of that culture. Your parents may not necessarily have been able to afford your schooling, but somebody else did. And so the understanding was that you would pass it on. Yes, I thought I should just mention that.
So are you trying to say it's like you have an investment pillar, someone that you look up to in the society who will always come through for you?
Yes.
By the time you're starting out, I remember the number of M-Pesa, WhatsApp groups that I have today on my phone. Yeah. And I was actually very tempted to think you're talking about a savings culture where I know I have contributed for you, so it's your turn to scratch my back. So the culture is actually there. It's nothing that we can erode easily, and we don't need to erode it because that's our social being. That's how we live. That's how we know how we have grown up. And thank God they were there, because as rightfully as you said, some of us were able to go to school because of that specific culture. So now we're actually coming in to bring, we might not be in a position, now we're in the urban center, and you're my neighbor, he's my neighbor. I no longer have those ties as much as I used to have down then. So what does it mean? If I need to get support, do I still go back?
You know what happened? You people solved that problem.
Who's you people?
Oh, we did.
Safaricom.
We did.
Thank
Thank
you don't have to go home. People just
That
reach you.
M-Pesa.
For you. So there's the connectivity.
Oh, yes.
Right.
There's the connectivity. And then there's now the M-Pesa.
You guys
You
solved
only
that
have
thing
to send.
completely.
And now we have M-Shwari. And comes with it Fuliza, where there's actually no excuse. Why is it when I mention Fuliza, you're frowning? It's a lifesaver. It's still an emergency loan capability.
Yes, it is. It is. Everything that you say about it is actually true.
And what we have in the Sacco today, I'll be happy to say we already used to have mobile loans that we give up to 100,000 shillings. Just at, and the beautiful bit about the Sacco, we basically look at you as you are. We have a credit checking that is not very tight because we understand where you're coming from. We already have your savings. We can be able to give you access within a very short time, irrespective of, what the burden is. We have educational loans. We can actually come in from now the family setting, we have a benevolent where we actually walk the journey with you. If you're bereaved, we feel you. And once you have registered that member, we actually come and support you from a financial perspective.
How
Very fast.
How young because in as much as, the money, the funds, as important as they are, it's a life-saving thing. As you've said, at that point, somebody needs this.
Yes.
If they don't have it, the situation could go detrimental.
Yes.
So the money is very important here.
Yes.
But the culture and in teaching and in helping, the advice that you talk about, the trainings that you do, how young can they go? Because I'm thinking about, children who I would think we would want them to grow up also in a savings culture. I think about my mother and the women's groups that she was involved in and the things that she was able to do as a result of putting a coin here and there, And then I think of my kids today and say, okay, every Sunday you're going to save 100 shillings here. No matter what it is, save it here. How young can this kind of training go so that we're bringing up a generation who understands that you can't eat it all in one day, that you should keep something aside for tomorrow?
When you mentioned our mothers, I remember the last training that we did this Friday. And it was very interesting because we have a partner, salad makers, who basically do cookware, very nice cookware, very interesting. It's very health conscious, and you're actually targeting the women and the men who want to be able to invest in a set of pans that are also health conscious. And it was a very interesting journey because for that we actually had to do a demo. So we have the like a Zoom call where we actually do a demo. How do you do the cooking? How do you do? So we actually address various sessions. We address specific category of people, and we don't discriminate. So we have sessions where we actually support women. We have the chamas. We have another session where we actually talk to the women. As I mentioned to you, we already have products that have been fine-tuned to be able to meet the children's requirements. So as regards to the knowledge transfer and the training, we are only able to train you as long as you have access to our tools.
Right.
And then now, thank God for COVID or, the blessings that come and the curses that come with it. But we have opened up a digital era where even the young people can be able to come in and they're able to join. And as you're watching, you can even watch with your young one and they're able to see what is available for them. And you already have the children's account. We have very attractive rates for the children accounts. We are also intending to go down to the schools, maybe at one session or the other, where we have public forums, where we go to the schools and we are able to share this knowledge and impact on them as well as they grow up.
May I suggest something?
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
I'm glad you brought in the schools. It's a discussion we have here very often.
Yes.
Perhaps even as you seek to go to the schools, have a word with the Kenya curriculum development people. You know why? Some of these things that we consider important, your discussion with the schools would be so much better as live examples if it's something that they were already being taught and inculcated to with rather.
Yes.
If you are taught, just like they are taught maths, their English, during maths or during social studies, if there can be a unit where they are taught something as basic as savings, when you come in to talk about savings, they now say, so that thing that we're being taught in class,
this is
so
what
this
it
is
means.
it. Now, it would, in my opinion, go further. So that by the time somebody even gets to a place where they have some semi-autonomy like university, that culture was long instilled in
already
their mind.
inculcated.
It's as simple as, just in the same way as reading is inculcated in their mind, saving will also be inculcated.
And you're actually right. My daughter goes to school today, and I don't know if you've seen that. They actually come home and they have like a business idea. I don't know if you've seen that. It's actually part of the CBC, where they actually taught how to make business and have money. So you see them coming up with bands, and they are trying to wash cars or doing something where they can be able to make money. And you're right. You're right. So it actually has to be that aggressiveness that you're talking about, where we actually go out specifically to be able to incorporate that now they call it the practical part, where they actually intentionally, if I get 5 shillings, I put aside 1 shilling, and this is how I put it, and these are the benefits that I get. And the beautiful bit, you can also start introducing them to the culture of having interests. You actually earn an interest and are able to see the value. And you're actually right. That's a very good feedback that we can actually take upon. And thank you very much.
I want you to understand that we are an understanding show, and we will not charge you for that idea.
Thank you very much.
We just want us taking it and the dividends that accrue from
Dividend is the word.
And we are willing to wait for it to.
We can actually partner
mature.
together, not only as the children as are coming on board. Even for you, you can actually come in and join as individuals, and also as SpiceFM, we are open to be able to incorporate you along. I can see you are asking, how do I join?
There's
Almost.
the issue of technology, Elizabeth.
She's good, eh? She's good.
My friend. So I'm trying to save you. So technology, Elizabeth. You said, so for example, your Sacco has gone technology.
Yes.
You're using everything tech.
100%.
You're not even meeting. Everything is being done. You make your applications. Yeah, the assessment is done. You receive your money. You whatever. Even meetings are happening online.
Yes.
Just take us the extent of using technology and the Internet of Things.
Yes.
As Safaricom, first of all, you guys are not just a mobile company. You are a technology and a lifestyle company.
Yes.
So how is it that the Internet of Things is helping in such matters of savings, of reaching out to more people, of communicating, of helping people with their lives?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I also work for Safaricom in DigiFarm, which basically supports the farmers. Now, what we're doing within the Internet of Things, we have various channels within the Sacco that we're able to, use to be able to access to our customers. So from a start-off point, we have the USSD. USSD, where you have a mobile phone as small as a feature phone or a smartphone, and you are able to access the service. So you just dial *345# and you have a bouquet of services, including queries. You can be able to post their queries and someone will be able to get back to you. So that is accessible just at the tip of your hand. You are able to access that service. The other bit that we already have an app. We have the Siri app, which is also now targeting to our smartphone users. It's more flexible. There are lots of pictures you can be able to interact with. You can do internet banking. You can do the Pesa link. Right now, we have an offer, the 20-day offer that started from the 30th, where we've zero rated if you're transferring money to the bank. So in terms of Internet of Things, we've enabled that, we've created that capability. If you want to send school fees to the school directly, you don't have to, look out. I need to go physically, and you're working
Get
from
a pay
home.
slip, go to the bazaar.
Yeah, you are able to send directly to the account, and you're able to get a receipt, a confirmation, an e-receipt for that matter. We already have the iConnect, which is a web page where you can still go and still be able to interact, get into your guarantors, know how you're performing, at what stage you are at in terms of the status. If you applied for a loan, if you have a query, you can actually be able to shoot. As regards to the physical interaction, actually there's no need for physical interaction when you look at it. Especially we've seen that in the Safaricom Sacco. You do everything online. You do the application online. It goes through the whole vetting process. We've actually done lots of integrations with the regulatory bodies just to make sure we have the right people who are coming on board and we can be able to issue the money instantly. So as regards to connectivity, yes, Safaricom has provided that space for us, where we also have put in our infrastructure in our cloud service, where we are able to make sure there's redundancy and then there are no downtimes around that space, and we are able to be 24-hour service available for our members.
Being a big organization such
Yes.
as you are, as a Safaricom Sacco, again, how many members?
We have 16,000 members. Active ones are 12,000 and growing.
And how many trillions?
My picture of success is to hit the 1 trillion. Right now, we are at 7 billion,
7
more
billion
than 7
shillings.
billion shillings.
A big organization such as yours
Yes.
is often now used by others
Yes,
in fraud.
yes.
You go and, like the other days, I took City somewhere because we wanted to buy a piece of land. And this guy who's selling to us this piece of land is telling us, unaona pale pande ile, Safaricom wamechukua ile yote.
Hiyo ni yao.
Hiyo ni yao. Wanakuja kujenga manyumba hapa. It's common.
We asked, so even with the trees we see the hata hiyo yote ni yao.
Yao.
So
In
kwa
fact-
hivyo hata wewe.
Wewe ni yao.
Wewe ni yao.
Ukinunua hapa.
Hapa.
Wewe utakuwa wow. You will enjoy the benefits.
Yes, you'll enjoy the benefits of Safaricom. But I want to talk about the SACCOs and the investment side of SACCOs,
Yes.
right? I know there's a clear
There's a clear cut.
demarcation nowadays in law.
Yes.
But there were days when we used to see, we see these big buildings in town and it's owned by a SACCO,
Yes.
right? And big names.
Yes.
So what is that demarcation? And is it arm's length, or are you still allowed to have control of the investment side? What is that? So how does Safaricom Sacco and
Separate.
Safaricom Investment, what's called Safaricom what?
SIC, Safaricom Investment Committee.
Yes.
So what we have done, it's intentional for us. We've actually had to do that separation. However, history aside, we have 3,000 members who've actually bought land from the Safaricom Sacco, and we take pride in that. Okay, that what you're seeing is actually true. It's actually there. It's actually there where you actually have land that belongs to the Safaricom Sacco, which is already there. So what we've had to do a separation is we now handle the money part, savings and credit part. As the Safaricom Sacco, we have the SIC, which basically handles the investments. So they handle any other land or property, like they actually engage in the property extension. We still are brothers. We actually are housed in the same organization. So when you identify land or you identify a house that you want to buy under SIC, we are open to be able to finance you in very flexible loan arrangements where you can actually be able to come in very flexible terms, where you come in and you're able to give you money to be able to support that.
You know where I'm heading with this conversation?
Yes.
Is trying to understand whose money is being used in these investments. So when we see all these big houses and big projects,
Yes.
and it's associated with a Sacco,
Yes.
whose money is it? The members' savings that are being used here? And the reason why I'm asking that is because even now we have some conversation that's ongoing. People
Yes.
put money in a Sacco,
Yes.
and then that Sacco is associated with a land buying and a development company.
Yes.
And there are issues that they even have a receiver manager. It was in the news the other day.
Yes.
Receiver
And you're
manager who's now coming to try and get money from that side to bring so that the people can get their money. How does that operate? How is the law structured so that you can safeguard people's savings?
So I'll speak about the now, and I'll also highlight a little bit about the Safaricom Sacco previously. So Safaricom Sacco previously, we used to deal with land. We also were dealing with property, and that's what you see like Ufanisi Sacco or something like that. They already have a building. But right now where we are at this particular space, we are no longer dealing with land per se, actively dealing with land per se because of the issues that come with the land, the long tenure that comes with it. You still have to go back and support the fencing. You have to go back and check if you have the green card signed and all those issues. So we have actually intentionally transferred that to the SIC. Now, when it comes to who supports the investment, of course, historically, it was part of the bouquet of the product within the Safaricom Sacco. But where we sit, like right now, SIC is a separate organization altogether. They do their own financial management. They have their own, bookings and the financial returns. Safaricom Sacco have their own financial returns, and they're totally separate as regards to the investment opportunities.
So when anyone joins a Sacco,
Yes.
they can feel confident that the money is safe.
I can
Basically,
actually...
a Sacco is my mattress, just that now it's everybody else's mattress put together.
It's one big mattress.
Actually, one of the benefits of investing in the Sacco is actually risk-free. You already know your money is there, and it's you're liability-free. If the Sacco becomes bankrupt, your money is actually safe. You are guaranteed. You do not have liability against the Sacco. So your money as a member is safeguarded, and you already earn interest.
Elizabeth, repeat that again.
You do not have liability.
If the Sacco goes broke,
If the Sacco goes broke, your money is still intact.
How?
But your money is still intact. The Sacco is going broke. The other beautiful thing about the Sacco, you have the yearly sessions.
I've put
We have the
money in a
AGMs,
Sacco, and
and
then
it
it has
is
gone
there.
broke, and I still have money.
And
But you have the money because we already have the AGMs, and we are actually It's your money that you're investing. It's your money that and we actually give you the reports and able to see every month or every year with regards to the performance of
So then, if that is the case, then how would it go broke?
we already have a regulatory body, SASRA, who also monitors what you do from a regulatory perspective. So there's no opportunity for you to be able to go broke as an individual because you do not have the
No.
ability.
How would a Sacco go broke? That's what I want to know. What would happen to a Sacco so that it would end that?
over lending and exposure.
The overlending actually is a benefit because SACCOs thrive by lending. When we lend, we make sure the money comes back and it comes back with an interest.
So are you saying that the benefit that the Sacco as an organization has is this interest that is made? That
Yes.
is the only money that belongs to the
Right
Sacco.
now, that's the money that's how
That's the only money
SACCOs
that
make their
belongs to
money.
the Sacco.
Yes.
So all this other money that you use to invest belongs to
Your deposit
members.
is-
Your deposit is secure.
The deposit is secure because, as I mentioned, there's the historic part and there's the current part. We are no longer dealing with land. We're no longer dealing with houses. So we are only giving you a loan.
So it
and
is
the
still
loan has
honoring.
an
So
interest.
if I keep giving you money as a deposit on a monthly basis, how can you be broke?
So
Yes,
I was not
how-
able to answer that question because there's no opportunity.
We've had circles in this country that have gone belly up.
So haven't
nicely.
you had banks going belly up?
No, banks go belly up all the time.
And yet people have
And
people have fixed
not only
deposits.
that, they have regulators. They even have the Central Bank of Kenya. So I think you understand what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay? What are the things that a Sacco would do wrong to put it in that position where you can argue and say it is actually broke or it's heading in that direction?
Basically, the red flags for members to look out for
Yes.
in the management of their circle.
Just thinking wide, I don't really have an answer for you, City, unfortunately, because the reality of the matter is the money that you have, you're in active business to make sure you take loans. So we come up with attractive products for you to be able to take loans.
You see, again, I am a member of a Sacco.
Yes.
A very good Sacco.
Yes. I was hoping you will join us.
Is there a limit to how many Saccos I can join?
You can join as many.
Did you see how our
I'm
voice
only
has
hoping.
dropped?
Has he told you that he is short of money?
Why are you worried?
I'm worried about his savings culture. Is he disciplined enough to be able to put a big chunk of money in the savings? In the
Pesa si
Sacco?
shida. Usiongee mambo ingine.
Pesa or tax? Okay. I take that. Okay.
Hey, okay.
Your question. You're a member of a circle
Yes.
No, that is a
Money
statement.
aside.
A very good Sacco. Okay?
and you're one of the big savings.
No, I'm just an ordinary
Right.
member with ordinary amounts of money.
And you guys get good dividends?
The dividends are excellent.
Good. So how do you become broke if the dividends?
No,
The dividends are a mark of the performance.
The reason why I'm asking this question is not because the Sacco I belong to. Okay?
Yes.
That in my mind is a model Sacco.
Yeah, okay.
It is because I have come across news of.
Circles collapsing.
Yes, that is really why. Because if one Sacco can collapse, it means another one can collapse. So I'm asking somebody who works within the Sacco, what would happen to bring a Sacco to this point? That's really what I'm asking. Not what you would do, but ordinarily, what are the things that would happen?
I don't think I have an answer for you, City, because of the performance. I have seen when you have good governance within the circles and you have good dividends, it's a pure indication that the company is doing well, the organization is doing well. When the dividends start, going lower and lower unexplainably, then it's something that you need to question. However, you have even the results. You have the financial results, which are open to the public.
Elizabeth,
to be able to...
the members of the Sacco don't have the ability to go to those bank accounts every day to determine how much money they have. What is presented in the AGMs are
Yes.
pieces of paper which tell you.
a month in advance.
You're told. The report is on paper.
Yes.
Banks that have gone belly up also present on paper how well they are doing, how things are, until they aren't. Anyway, but I understand what you've said.
Somebody's
Thank you.
asking, if I deposit money in
Yes.
a circle and I'm fed up, or for whatever reason I'd like to get my money,
Yes.
how do I get my money out?
So the money that you're looking for is the savings that you have? Like the savings
money
you
that I have put in the
plus
circle.
deposits. You actually can. We have leeway for you to be able to exit. You just put in your application. Again, it's online. You put in your application. And of course, if you have any outstanding loans, you honor the outstanding loans and you're able to give you back your money.
And you don't have a session.
So we have an exit.
A
We
session
have
I
an
tell the
exit.
person, ask this question, why do you want to exit?
Yes,
Why
we do. We actually have an exit interview. It's quite rigorous. It's very emotional for us, very few, and we're actually looking at reducing the numbers. However, with the situation that we found ourselves in, specifically the COVID situation and retirement, it's something that is unavoidable.
Does
so we
SASRA,
actually
the
have-
regulator, have timelines within which if a member seeks to withdraw their money, you must respond and give them the money within time?
So we have timelines. We have specific timelines and which you guide, which are your guiding principle with respect to how you do your operation. So we have SLAs for short term and for the long term. If it's 5 days, then you're able to adhere. And we actually report that on a regular basis to SASRA.
All
And we
right.
do reconciliations to that extent.
Elizabeth Mudogo,
Yes.
1 hour is over.
Now,
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Conversation about savings is not a bad conversation, eh?
It's not even painful.
no,
This is what happens when you're having a good conversation.
no.
We've been having
This
a
is
conversation
unbelievable.
about Kenyans and the saving culture. And yes, it's actually encouraging to see the number of people who are saving through various platforms, SACCOs, commercial institutions, table banking, whatever. And it's something to be encouraged. And maybe also the government should find ways. In fact, the government also has found ways of getting into that so that they can get money out of it.
And we now have mortgages. Do you know we now have mortgages?
Now we have
can
even a
also
government mortgage.
Yes, we do have a government mortgage supported by the Sacco. At very good rates. You need to be able to invest in that. And you didn't finish your story.
Come and tell us that.
You didn't finish your story about your land, the land that you're buying.
No,
when we heard that it's a Safaricom, we are used to those stories. Those are con men.
Okay.
Have a lovely day, Elizabeth.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.